Higher wisdom and guidance to live your dream life. This is the Mandy podcast. Hello and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining. It is great to be back. I must admit that I've taken a little bit of a break from podcasting for just a few weeks and not really intentional. It's just that there is so much that has been going on internally and so much inner expansion that I felt almost as if I just couldn't do anything, that really what my whole role for the last month's time has been to just ground in this experience and what all has been happening. And oh my, it's interesting because I find, and I usually kind of find this on the back end, and this happened to me a little over a year ago. I got into the same stage, the same similar state where I didn't know it at the time, but I was going really, really deep. And usually what the deepness is, it means there is an expansion, there is an increasing of higher consciousness, of raising my vibration at an even higher level. And usually that means I have to pull away from everything and just go really deep. And that happened to me a little over a year ago. And I actually spent 6 months. I called it the sabbatical after because I spent 6 months outside in nature and just going really, really deep. And through that whole process was raising my vibration and able to take in even more into my life. And I began then, that's when I started to do the channeling and to really kind of bring in a connection that I hadn't experienced yet. And it's strange because I feel like I'm in that now. It probably started back in about October. And I have some other podcasts that I even have ready that I haven't put out there yet that go into a little bit more detail of this. So I'll make sure I need to get all of those out there. But it started in about October. And I feel like I'm just now starting to come out of it. And so I would call this perhaps maybe the second sabbatical where I just had to break away from everything and everyone and go really, really deep again to rise up even more. And oh my gosh, I mean, what now continues to come, this new level of service and more about kind of the role that I'm here to play and deeper connection and just a sense of love. And it's pretty incredible. And we've talked a little bit about this kind of new earth, fifth dimensional experience, and that's truly what this is. And it has been quite interesting because much of the guidance, a whole part of this, the whole part of this journey is that, I'm really trusting and living the guidance that comes through. And many times this guidance is unconventional. It goes completely against what we think of with society. And for a while, this would be weeks and weeks and months, the guidance very much was there's nothing to do, that the way that you're serving right now is through your being, and how you serve on a much greater level is through your energy and really focusing on my energy. But there's the personality self of me that wants to do, and feels and felt, that sense of self-worth based on what you're doing and what you're putting out there. And so I personally have had to go through a lot of deep inner work over the last month or so on reframing and really getting to the core of my personal worth, of my worth, and realizing that it has nothing to do with anything, any product, any social media post, any podcast, anything, that none of that is what defines our worth, that our worth is we are, because we are worthy. And so it has taken quite a shift for me and a lot of just taking it in, grounding it in, processing it, living it. And I sometimes have to step away in order for these really big moments to kind of ground in. So that's what I've been doing. But I've also felt very called to do another podcast and to get these messages out there. So I'm anxious to be able to share much of this with you. So it's been a very interesting time. I will on another podcast at some point down the road get into my personal journey and my personal role a little bit deeper, because it is shifting in a much bigger way. And we sometimes hear this guidance that, oh, it's so much bigger. And we feel it and we believe it, but until we begin to see it, and I feel like that's a bit of where I'm at right now, is my reality is beginning to catch up with the, kind of the energy feel of the bigness of all of it. So much, much more to come very soon, but it is such a very exciting time on the planet. And I hope that you are feeling that as well, because it is truly, we are stepping into a time where so much is possible for our lives. And I think as we all begin to step into this part of our life, we're going to find our lives are going to be so drastically different and incredible, even more incredible than we ever thought was possible. So I'm going to go ahead and to pull in a message, and this is just going to be a general message that will apply to all. And I don't even have any real preconceived thoughts, although I feel perhaps a little bit of the difference between being and doing has been very high and has been very top of mind lately. And so it's likely that some will come out about that and even some more inspirational messages. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring in a channeled message for you all. I hope that you enjoy it. All right, here we go. Let's begin and let's share messages for all of you today. As we often tell you, you are entering into the most exciting time in your existence ever. It's the most exciting time this planet has ever seen. It's the most exciting time you at your essence have seen. This is what you came here for. And wow, it is so incredible. It is so amazing. It is so beautiful. We're going to talk about many things today. And if you are hearing these messages for the first time, you have been divinely guided to them. No matter what time you are hearing these messages, whether it's the day they are produced, 2 years after they are produced, you are hearing them at the exact time you were meant to hear them. This is about your personal journey, and you are often guided to messages that you need at a particular time in your life. We're first going to talk about what is often called the Ascension. We're also going to be talking about the awakening. What is an awakening? And perhaps you have heard about this before, but this is what many of you are beginning to experience right now as you are experiencing your own awakening. So what are you waking up to? Well, you're waking up to the more that is here for your life. You are waking up to this desire that you have always had. Perhaps you've even had it since you were a child, this desire that there was something a little bit more to your life. You are waking up to all of that. The awakening journey is exactly that. For some, you might spend many years, you might spend decades through your awakening journey. You continue to wake up and you go deeper. But as we say deeper, you're actually rising higher. But you're waking up to why you came here. You're waking up to this life experience, what you came here to experience. And everything up to this point has led you to here and to this awakening moment. For many, your awakening moment could have been a result of a health scare that you had. And that health scare is what caused you to want to hit the reset button or to take yourself off of autopilot because you realized that you were on autopilot. Life was going really great, but there was something that woke you up to the more, for your life. For others, it might have been a death in your family that has served as the catalyst for your awakening journey. For others, it might be something that you would describe as catastrophic happening in your life, or something where perhaps you had one encounter that caused everything to change in your life. It was a moment. Maybe it was what you might call an accident or something that happens in your life that begins to change everything from that point forward. You began to look at the world quite differently from that moment. And so there are many, many things that are catalysts for your awakening journey. And so oftentimes it can also be financial. It can be relationships. It might be a divorce. It might be an estranged relationship. It might be the loss of money, the loss of a job, all of these. And that is what's really interesting in the human experience, is that many, when they experience those, quickly go into victim mode. They quickly go into victim mode and they blame everything around them for what has happened in their experience. But what they don't know is that was so perfectly, divinely a part of their awakening journey. It was necessary. It was necessary for their awakening journey, because it's waking them up to the next phase. And the next phase is well beyond what your mind can even begin to process. And so that's where many are at right now, is in their awakening journey. And generally it's some sort of a catalyst in their life that has brought this on, that has helped to open their eyes to more. Maybe they're just seeing life from a different perspective. They're softening their edges a little bit. They're beginning to live with a little bit more heart than perhaps they have in the past. It begins to change. And so then what happens? Well, as you go on your awakening journey, you begin to notice, you begin to just feel as if something is more. There is something more for your life. You begin to feel the much bigger picture for life in general. You begin to look at those old beliefs and you realize that they don't serve you anymore, and you begin to replace them with new beliefs, and you begin to go through the whole process. A big part of what you are going through in your awakening journey is understanding the limitations that we have placed on our lives and how to remove those. So as you begin to remove all of that, what happens? Well, you begin to rise up. You're ascending. This also becomes your ascension, and they work hand in hand. As you continue on your awakening journey, you're ascending, you're rising up. We have given many, many analogies for this. Some might call it or refer to it as the story of the Wizard of Oz, where you are in the black and white movie, and you then begin to make your journey. You wake up. You begin to make your journey on the yellow brick road, which is full of color and beauty, and you begin on that road to realize so much more about you and your life. Well, where are you going? You're going to your Emerald City. That's where you're headed to. Some might also refer to it, and we refer to it also, as the bridge. There is a bridge between the old earth and the new earth. Many of you on your awakening journey, you're on the bridge. You're on the yellow brick road. That's where you're at. You get to choose how long you stay there, how long you're on that path. You can stay on there as long as you want, but there is inner work to be done on that bridge. It's a very important part of your ascension to where you're going, which we call New Earth. So what is New Earth? New Earth is where everything is different. It's what you came here for. You didn't come here to just experience it. You also came here to create in it. It is a higher vibration. It's a higher dimension, if you will. And we're not saying necessarily higher as in better, because we don't want to create any separation. It all serves. That's what you're here for. That's why this life experience is so incredible, is that you're getting to experience so much. For a soul's journey to get to experience all of this, it's incredible. There is no better place to be than this, experiencing this right now. And it might not feel like that to you, but this is the place to be. It's the place to be for your soul's expansion, but it's also the place to be because you will be creating all new. Imagine an entirely new world, a new world where you began to create everything, impeccable creations, where everything is created from your heart. Can you imagine a world where what exists in it can only exist if it is created 100% from your heart? Can you imagine how wonderful living in that space is? And that what you manifest into your life is your soul's desires at the most deepest level. And what you bring into the world is something that helps all of creation. This is so very, very big. It is so very big where this planet is at right now. And we tell you this often, but this is what you came here for. And in many cases, you came to experience it. And in some cases, you might have also come to help and assist during it, to step up and to lead others and to help others through this process. And if saying those words lights you up and it makes you excited, then yes, then you are one of those who chose to become a leader, to be a leader during this time. And so you help and you inspire others. But you can't force it on them. How will you help and lead others? You do it by your example, by you being the way shower, by you doing it in your life. And you become the example for others, and you show others what is possible for their life through you. No longer can teachers just teach. You have to live it. You have to live it and experience it. And before you can even begin to inspire and impact others, that is so very important. And again, it's all new where you're going. We've said before, there is no playbook for where you're going. This human collective will be creating it, but what comes into this space can only come in from the heart. And that's a lot for the physical brain to take in. We understand. But there's a part of you that knows all of this and that knows where you're going, that knows your steps in the journey and knows exactly how to get you there. And that's the beauty of this time. A big part of New Earth is a knowing that everything is different in your old Earth experience. And perhaps this is how it is for you now, where you feel like everything is centered around how productive that you are, how much you can get done in a day's time, how much you can do. And when you begin to make the journey on the yellow brick road or on your bridge, you probably will find, if you haven't already, that some of that no longer resonates. That you no longer resonate with the hectic pace of life. It just doesn't quite feel good anymore. That you feel like there has to be something more. And so that's just one of the ways that everything is going to be changing. As you begin to create from this new space, you're going to find very little of the old is going to resonate or is even going to make it into this new space, because much of it is created from a place of ego or personality self, not created from the heart. That's a very big different perspective shift that we're making right now. It is so very different. And so you will find over the course of your journey that you will be spending more time being instead of doing. You're going to find that you will not be filling your days with all of this stuff that really just doesn't quite feel like it jives anymore. That you'll be spending more time connecting with your higher self. You'll be tuned into your intuition. And when there's action to be done, you're going to know it and you're going to feel it. That's how you're going to be guided. You've heard the adage to work smarter, not harder. We would even say this goes beyond that, because working smarter would also mean coming from your brain. We would say this comes from your heart. So it is different. But the idea of working harder no longer applies. You're going to be using your gifts that you probably didn't even know that you had, are going to be coming to the surface. You might be beginning to hear of that much more now. where your gifts or those around you, they're having new gifts and talents that are coming to the surface that they didn't even know about. And now they're getting to put them out into the world in a much new and refreshed way. They feel refreshed about their life again because they're beginning to feel and remember and tap into those gifts that they came to use at this point in Earth's ascension, in your ascension, and to help humanity. It's all so very big. There is a big puzzle, as we have mentioned before, and you are an integral part of that puzzle. Your gifts, your talents, your light are so very needed right now. Every light matters. Every voice in the world matters. Every person in the world matters. This is such a powerful, powerful time where we are going. So, it's time to begin to look, have the gut check, if you will, about what in your life no longer resonates. Begin to look at your life and begin to make those necessary changes. If it doesn't resonate, toss it out. You don't need to spend your precious energy time doing it, because your time can be spent really in your joy, in your connection with your higher self. It can be spent on other things that will benefit the planet in such a much bigger way, and benefit those around you in such a much bigger way. So begin to look for those things that no longer resonate. And part of it might be the way that you are functioning throughout your day. Perhaps it's your to-do list, or it's your calendar, or it's the meetings that you set that don't really feel like they really resonate anymore. Whatever it is, begin to look at those things, and you can begin to shift those out of your life. If they no longer resonate, because you're just simply making room for the more to come into your life. That's really, really powerful. You are making way for the more to come into your life. The more of what you really came here for. The more of all of that. You're leaving the space for all of that to come in. And for your expansion. And for your continued awakening and ascension. It is such a powerful, powerful time right now. And it's going to continue. This is going to continue for many years. It's just getting started. It is just getting started. For many, though, you have felt like you have been on this journey for many years. Some may just be opening up or waking up to all of it. It does not matter. It is all a part of your divine plan and how you wanted to experience it. But now is a time energetically on the planet where it all begins to unfold. Regardless of what your journey was that led you up to here, now it is all beginning to unfold. And so it is time to get so very excited about what is to come. And you're going to find that you begin to connect with that part of you in a way that you perhaps have not yet experienced. That part of you is going to guide you on this path. And that part of you is going to make sure this is as effortlessly easy for you as possible when you are connected to that part of you. You can choose a much more difficult path, but we assure you, if you choose to connect with your higher self through this process, take the hand of your higher self, let the integration happen, and it's going to happen. But as you really tap into and feel, listen to that guidance, it's going to guide you in a very easy way on a much simpler path to your highest potential and to your biggest dreams. The dreams that might not have even hit your awareness yet, because they are so much bigger than you ever thought was possible for your life. You're going to begin to get glimpses of them. If you begin to get glimpses of your role, your service, and how you serve the world, know that that is your higher self playing in your imagination. This is a process. This is a progression. If you were to know the full, finished outcome of your life, you might panic a bit. You might panic because it's so very big, and you would wonder how. How is it possible? And then you would start to try to make it happen, and that's not the way that it works now. So you get glimpses of it. And as you begin to raise your vibration, as you begin to ascend and you spend more time in higher vibrations, more and more begins to be made available to you. As your mind, as your consciousness expands, what you receive in your mind begins to expand. You can hold more. You can see the bigger visions. And so you might find that you have dreams, and your dreams of how you serve or how you lead or perhaps your role in the world, you get a glimpse of it. And then maybe even a month later, you get an even bigger vision for it. It expands even more, and it expands even more. That's the process. That is how it goes. You get glimpses of it. That helps you. It helps your brain. It helps your body to be able to slowly adjust to what's happening. But as you raise your vibration, more and more and more becomes available to you. And then that takes a little bit of grounding in. Your body sometimes just needs some time to process it. Your brain needs some time to process all of it. Because it very well could be a direction for your life that you never, ever expected. It might be so much bigger than you ever expected, and you need a little bit of time to process it all. But just know, your higher self is going to play with you in your imagination. And generally, it's going to be about the way that you serve. It's going to be about the way that you are living or being in your life, the way that you are helping others. That's generally what your higher self will play with you in your imagination with. It will plant ideas in your imagination. And it's going to be those times when your mind just zones out a little bit. You might be driving, you might be in the shower, you might be meditating, you might be walking, whatever it is. But it's those times when you zone out a little bit and you just then realize that your imagination had just taken over. That's your higher self playing with you and planting in your mind the visions of where you're going. It's so very powerful. But you can't force it. You can't force it in your imagination. Let it come to you. That's how you're going to begin to get these visions of where you're going and have so much fun, because as you know, the journey in this process is even more fun than the destination. The journey through and to New Earth is so very fun. And it's going to be incredible as you're getting there and spending more time there. And it's not as if you wake up one day and you're in New Earth. This is a progression. Your energy is rising, and you're going to find that there are probably periods throughout your day where you are in those higher vibrations and everything feels so blissful and it feels so perfect. And then you might have times where you're something might happen, or you're kind of pulled back down, or maybe your energy just isn't where it was. And that's totally fine. That's perfectly fine. For a period of time, you're going to find that you're fluctuating between all of these different feelings, frequencies, and vibrations. That's perfect. You're getting your body acclimated for it. And then you're going to find that you're spending more and more and more time in those higher vibrations. And then when you have those moments where you experience lower vibrations, it's going to feel really low. You're going to feel really low. But you know how to get yourself back up there. You now know how to get yourself back up there. You're able to reset and realign. And in many cases, that's through meditation, finding things that bring you joy. But that's how you're able to get yourself back into those high vibrations. In your previous world, prior to your awakening and ascension, you might have spent years in those lower vibrations, and that's all that you knew. Now, when you go back down there, it feels really heavy because you're experiencing something a little bit different. It's all a part of the progression. And then you're going to find that you will, after experiencing more and more time in these higher vibrations, in this new earth vibration, you'll find that, oh yes, I'm there. I'm there. And it's going to be magical and beautiful. And then you will find that your life is so perfect. It's blissful every day. And it doesn't matter what is happening around you. you have a different perspective on it now. Everything is different. You are now living life on the other side of fear. You now live life on the other side of lack and limitation. You now live from a place of love, from a place of your heart space. That's where everything is different. And it begins to shape your entire reality from that point. And what you bring into that space, it's going to be powerful and it's going to live on for such a long time. You are a pioneer in this time. You are a pioneer here in this space. And for many of you, it's what you came here for. So it is time to get so excited about this journey, this walk that you are on right now. It is time to let go of the fear. It's time to let go of the lack, the limitation, the feelings of not good enough. It's time to let go of all of that. And that's what you can do. You can let it all go right now. You can set the intention that you're ready to let go of it all. It all has served and it's all gotten you to here. And now you are ready to experience something new. And that's this new earth experience. It is a beautiful place to be. And it's such a big time. This is such a big time. We have so enjoyed getting to share our messages with you today. And we know that many more will be coming your way as you open up to receive, open up to this higher consciousness, open up to this connection with your higher self. You are going to be experiencing for yourself the higher voice for your life. You're going to feel it, experience it, get the messages, get the signs, get the synchronicities, and see how divine orchestration is now unfolding in your life in the most beautiful way. We love you all so very much. In love and light we serve. We are one.